Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm a youth services librarian at the Rock Island Public Library, and I'm pre-recording this week's book talk because I'm going to be working as a deputy registrar on election day. So if you haven't already, go vote. But today's books are both available through our Boundless app, and if you haven't used Boundless before, it used to be Access 360, and it's got a lot of titles. I think I've mentioned it before. I'm sure I have. But just in case you haven't heard it from me before, the reason we have multiple apps is because different apps have different libraries and they have different titles available. So just not everything is available. Like, you can look in our catalog and see all the physical copies of books we have. But a nice thing with Vega, our new catalog, is it will also show you ebooks too, and usually what app they're available through, which is nice. But yeah, not every app has the same stuff. They have different collections, and so that's why I talk about different ones. And I need to kind of reorder my schedule because I want to start talking more about Comics Plus, which is our newest app and has, you guessed it, lots of comics. But today, looking at Boundless, and our first book is The Raven Boys. And in this book, you meet a person named Blue. And Blue Sergeant is the daughter of a woman who is a clairvoyant. And so she has the ability to see, this is an interesting twist, but basically the book begins on what is called St. Mark's Day. Oh, St. Mark's Eve. This is April 24th. And on this day, Blue's mother sees the soon-to-be dead. She sees people, they haven't died yet, but they're going to. And I mean, the weird thing with this, as they go by, I mean, Blue's never seen any going to be dead people, future dead people, but this year, she sees somebody. She sees this person, and he tells her that his name is Gansey. And so, she's surprised. This is strange, and it's a little bit, I guess, sinister for Blue because, again, this is right at the beginning, inside flap in fact, there are only two reasons a non-seer would see a spirit on St. Mark's Eve. Either you're his true love, or you killed him. Now, Blue is actually part of a family where she has been told for a lot of her life that she will kill her true love someday. This is part of her family's lore. And, I mean, this has never seemed like an issue before. But now Blue is thinking, oh, well, okay, I didn't really believe in this stuff before. I mean, I didn't believe in true love. Now I'm thinking, all right, well, under what circumstances could this possibly happen? I don't even know this person yet. But, I mean, she ends up getting to know this person, Gansey. He is a student at this private school where Blue and her mother live. It's Aglionby. And I believe it's sort of like the coat of arms for the school features a raven, so they're called the Raven Boys. And, I mean, Blue goes to public school. Like, she has been basically grown up thinking, I'm going to stay away from the private school kids because they can be jerks, but also it's just a thing of like, well, we don't always cross paths. Like, we go to different schools. Like, we just don't interact that much. But again, from the description, she has this thought of, you know, the Raven Boys, they only mean trouble. And Gansey is joined by his three closest friends. So there's Adam, and Adam is at the school on a scholarship. So he is like, relates to Blue in the sense that he looks at the wealthy students around him and thinks, yeah, this is not ideal. I mean, I have a lot of misgivings about the situation I'm in, or the atmosphere of privilege where I have this scholarship and I'm sort of expected to be very grateful for this. Whereas most people, most of the other students who I know at private school just kind of take this for granted. They come from money, and so they just expect, oh yeah, you just have money. But of course that's not the case for everyone. Then you also have Ronan. And Ronan, I mean, he is someone who has some powerful emotions. He can be angry at times, he can be sort of in the depths of despair, and as we get to know these people, we learn how these people got to be who they are. And then the last is Noah. Noah, he doesn't talk a lot. He's sort of the quiet person in this group of four, this quartet of students. But he notices things. He notices things, and as the book goes on, it starts to become clear that there's something about Noah. There's something which, again, he didn't reveal this. This isn't something he concealed from his friends. They just didn't think to ask him. So Blue, in this book, ends up helping these four, in the first place because she knows this thing about Gansey. She knows that, okay, well, me seeing him on St. Mark's Eve, that's strange. But, I mean, she also thinks that, well, I'm going to help them because maybe I can prevent this future from happening. Like, maybe if what these four set out to do is accomplished, then I won't kill this person inadvertently, because she doesn't want to. Even if she gets to know Gansey a little bit. Like, I believe, it's been a bit since I read this, but by the end of the first book, I don't think Blue would consider herself in love with Gansey, but she's like, well, this person is my friend, and I don't want him to die. And the thing the group is looking for, you actually see it on the cover, and it's drawn at different points of the book, but they're called ley lines. And the idea is these are lines that can serve a lot of different purposes in different, like, magical practices, but usually they're kind of indicating power. And if you do something on a ley line, or if you build on a ley line, this can affect what happens to you, or what happens inside the building because of its proximity to the ley line. And so, in looking for this, I mean, Gansey has a purpose. Like, he wants to find this for a very specific reason. So, if you like young adult fantasy, this was Maggie Stiefvater's second series. I talked about, let's see, Shiver earlier this year, because that just celebrated its 10th anniversary. So this series is newer. Came out after her book, The Scorpio Races, which I also enjoyed. But yeah, if you're looking for a series as we get into the cold weather months, check this out. And our next book, I believe, I'm going to do my best with the pronunciation, I believe it is Shine Lende. And in this book, we meet a young person who everybody calls her Shane. And we learn in the very first chapter it's because people can't pronounce her name. Like, she doesn't know how, and other people don't either. And this is in part, I think, because her grandparents and her father died years ago in a flood. And she and her mother lost their home. But this is a prequel to the book Elatsoe, which I really enjoyed. So this is by Darcy Little Badger. And Shane, I think she is Elatsoe's grandmother. So this is important because we know this person is Lipan Apache, and we know if you've read Elatsoe, if not, it's fine, because this book will explain the fact that in this family, the women in particular, like Elatsoe and her grandmother and her mother, and going back several generations, the family has an affinity with ghosts. They're very skilled at waking up ghosts and animal ghosts. Don't mess around with human ghosts. But when the book begins, Shane and her mother, they're out looking for a kid. Her name is Mallory, and she just kind of wandered off, actually snuck like through a gap in a fence and just left a birthday party, because she was a little kid and she was bored. But she gets lost, and this is sort of in the desert southwest. And so, I mean, she's missing for over a day. Shane and her mom are out with, I believe they have living dogs, but also ghost dogs. And they're trying to track this child. And eventually they find her. And her mom, like right away, Shane can see that, well, okay, like her mom has this cough and she's kind of worried about her. And her mom, like, they both notice right away, okay, you know, the kid explains, like, she's tired and thirsty, obviously, but she, like, pulls up her pant leg and shows that she was bitten by a snake. So it's clear that, yeah, this kid needs to go to a hospital. And Shane's mom basically says, you know, you carry her. Well, Shane doesn't want to hurt this kid who's got this snake bite on her leg. And she's thinking, well, you know, it might be safer to make a stretcher. But, you know, her mom has done this a lot of times. She's been on lots of missing persons cases. Yeah, so in the very first chapter, Shane mentions Lorenza had done 100 rescues. This was Shane's third. She had to trust her mother's experience. So she carries this kid back to the house where the birthday party happened, where the people searching for this lost child kind of set out from, and like her dad is able to take her, get her to a hospital, and eventually, I mean, her mom, Lorenza, does catch up. Like, for a while, she's not behind her. Like, Shane even asks at one point, hey, did you notice, like, my mom behind us? And Mallory, who's, like, being carried, says, no, she was behind us at first, but now she's not. But then, you know, by the end of the chapter, Lorenza says, you did well. I'm proud. And Shane says, thank you. Ma, it pains me to say this, but you're a hypocrite. Quite an accusation. Didn't you once tell me to rest when I'm sick? I might have, she side-eyed Shane, but we saved a life today. Brought a child home. Just promise me you won't pick fruit till you feel better. Before Lorenza could protest that they needed the money, Shane added, I'll take extra shifts at Pizza Dale for the week. They're always short-staffed in the summer. A moment passed when all they heard were their own footsteps and labored breaths. Okay, Lorenza agreed. They were nearly out of the woods. Conversationally, Shane asked, the dogs would bark at monsters, right? The slightest hint of tension sharpened her mother's response. Probably. Why do you ask? Ah, it ain't nothing. Just a few more steps left. Mallory believed we were being followed by a man with owl eyes. I think she was hallucinating. Oh, Lorenza whispered. What? I think I saw him too. They exchanged a tense look. Probably your fever, Ma. Perhaps. Nevertheless, exhaustion be damned, the two of them sprinted the rest of the way to safety. Most owls were simple, innocent birds, but some, the owls of power, foretold great tragedy. So, you know from the start, if you read the inside flap, this story begins in earnest after Shane's mother and a boy from their community disappear. They have... The fun thing with the world in which these books take place is there are various supernatural creatures and things going on. Like, it's understood, okay, vampires exist, and there are people who are descended from fairies, like in stories of Shakespeare. The whole idea is like, oh yeah, that's not just fiction, that's like historical fiction. And so, after Shane's mom and this local boy, they encounter a fairy ring. And people who are descended from fairies, or, you know, that's somebody in their family was a fairy or has some fairy heritage, they're able to use these to travel, and it's very convenient. It's great. But for the average person, this can cause strange things to happen. So the book is Shane with her brother and her grandfather, who seems like, in the first chapter certainly, like, Shane's mom doesn't trust him. Like, she doesn't like hearing about his ideas because, well, I don't know, he doesn't seem like a trustworthy figure. And in part because you read on the flap, her lone surviving grandparent who isn't to be trusted. I mean, these people, along with some of Shane's friends, they set off to try and find Shane's mother and the boy. And you can see from the cover, I'm guessing this is a clue about some of the ghosts that are going to be awakened in this book. But the problem with the supernatural forces at work in this world is that Shane's mother and the person with her, they might not still be in the world in which Shane lives. They could be somewhere else. They could be sometime else. Like, they could have traveled either through space or time, and so it's hard to say exactly when or where they might be found. So, if you're maybe looking for a title to check out for Native American Heritage Month, Native American History Month, I think, this is that. I really like the fantasy world in which it takes place, like how these sort of different creatures interact, like how the systems interact with our world, and yeah, really enjoyed Elatsoe, so looking forward to checking this out, or reading further, reading beyond the first chapter. Like, I've started it, but might listen to the audiobook. Just then, I like that because then I know, like, name pronunciations, and I believe both the regular book and the audiobook are available through Boundless. And because this book came out earlier this year, there might be a little bit of a wait to get it. Usually with newer books, like, you might have to put something on hold, and then you'll be notified when it is available. So again, if you would like to check out these titles, you can do that. They're both available through Boundless, although they might also be available through other apps as well. I think Maggie Stiefvater's books, certainly some are available through Hoopla, and I think the ebook version of this is available through Hoopla, just not the audiobook. So if you want to listen, check out through Boundless. And thank you for watching. I will see you again next week.